Max.
Nice to meet you. It's thanks to my daughter I'm here. Linnea, du får komma hit och vinka. It's Linnea, my daughter.
Hello. Thanks for helping. So it's always good to have some help for whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I have my clarinet here, and what do you say?
Yeah, you want to play a little intro?
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah.
What style do you want exact?
I want some real Max Carling.
Okay.
Beautiful. Thank you.
It was some blues.
Yeah, I was just reading about your musical family, the dynasty Carling with Hans, your father.
Yes.
Maybe you can tell us a bit how you started being introduced to music. I think it was probably you were born backstage or something like that.
Both. My father was a traditional jazz musician. He was a trumpet player, so he actually didn't play clarinet, but he was quite well known in the 50s, in the 60s, because jazz made a comeback. It was a small jazz influence in Sweden already in the 20s. But then also in the 30s, and this Glenn Miller sound came in the 40s to Sweden, not through touring musicians, via radio. They heard the big band when the new sounds during the war. They heard it on radio and rearranged things. But my father was coming in the 50s with this New Orleans revival that was very, very strong in England and West Germany and Sweden. So he was a trumpet player, and he had always problem to get a good clarinet player because Sweden is not that big. So he had in the 60s, and this guy Anders Holmberg, he was the idol for me when I began. So cool. He lived sometimes in our house when I was small, and he had some periodic party. He was out and made much party and played and so, and he lived in our house, and he didn't really want to give me some education, so I have to count it out on myself.
Okay, but he was the reason why you started playing the clarinet as well.
Yeah. But then on the other side, I began with piano and violin because with folk music, and so I began to play accordion at folk dances when I was 6 or 7 years old. I don't really know if it's early, but I don't really know if I was that good. But I had once a week since I was 9. I had once a week a certain dance floor. I played accordion.
Steady gig already back then.
Yeah. And I remember that the salary was around, like $8 or something. But I was then I was like 9 and 10 years old.
But, and you traveled with your father around the country when he was playing gigs, or?
Actually, it was like he he retired for 3 or 4 years from the jazz because he was so tired. He followed. He put much interest into us children. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So he
So
was very what?
So father was his main gig then, or?
Yeah. He worked at the normally work some years then.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was a musician and he was very fired already. Also, there was a jazz was fading in the 70s. It was like more folk music and so.
Mm-hmm.
So I began in the 70s when it was folk music and dances with the oldies music.
Okay.
But my father, until he take some years pause because it was hard to find a good band.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So then, when we were in 1981, it was again a revival for jazz.
Mm-hmm.
It's very strange. Then his old friends from his youth, they came back and picked him up, and they started his old band. And in the same time, I was so old then that I wanted to play jazz, but I didn't understand it because I was all too much into folk music.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, Gunhild, my sister. She was 7 years old, and she began with jazz.
Okay.
Then she understood the sound and the meaning of phrases a little earlier than me.
Mm-hmm.
So I can understand people who are trained in classical music how difficult it is to change,
Right. Yeah.
because
And
I
you
was.
guys, excuse me.
Yes, no, say.
You guys played as a family, like your father, you, and your sister, and everyone was
Yeah.
playing in, like, I saw these vaudeville shows I think you made later on, right?
Yes, we began in 82. So I think
82. Okay.
Gunhild was 7. She was a little too small to play in the nights. So we had a old friend to my father that played trombone. So Gunhild was only, and my brother joined later. He was too small.
Mm-hmm.
So we had drum and trombone was adults in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they only
But you
made
do.
the first hour.
Oh, okay, I see. But you're doing many different things, right? You're like maybe you tell us. I mean, playing many different instruments, and you're dancing or juggling or making saltos. Or can you tell us a bit about your different?
My brother is actually my brother and Gunhild. They are better in dancing. I'm not really good dancer, but I'm, rope dancing is my specialty. I'm a slack rope and juggler.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But in restaurants and scenes, it's seldom I do the rope dancing because it's more for outdoor performance.
And what's that exactly?
Uh,
Rope?
Yeah, it's like slackline, slackline.
When I
But
see it, maybe, yeah, but the words I'm not familiar with. Yeah.
today it is people like to go on this slackline, but in when I was small, it was a thin wire. Actually, I have a unicycle on the wire and juggle at the same time, like this.
So you're ready for the circus?
I was 10 years in the circus.
Yeah. See,
I worked
I was
in
discussing.
mostly because in the 80s there was no young artists anymore in the Western country. It was only in the Eastern country. Europe was divided in this communistic part and this free society. And we belong to what we can call free society. And in our part of the world, there was no vaudeville and circus artists. They were very old. There were like 50 years difference to me. So it was quite easy for us to get engagement and jobs in the beginning because we were quite alone.
Mm-hmm.
But then they opened this iron curtain, so it came many from Russia and
Right.
and helped the circuses to get artists. And today you have new
Mm-hmm.
circus and many things.
Mm-hmm. And you worked in the Swedish circus, or what was it called? Those 10 years?
It was different every year.
Different. Uh-huh.
But I choose circuses that was liberal to get away because we had always family engagements.
Yeah.
So I had from the beginning a deal. I must do these important gigs, and then I can come back.
Mm-hmm.
And not every circus that accept, but so I worked. I have always special conditions.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah, I was very surprised many years ago when I was attending a circus, and I saw the most fascinating acrobat. In the break, he was selling popcorn, driving the tractor, and doing everything by himself. I'm sure you had different things too to do. Maybe to feed the elephant in the break, or can you tell us about this, the secrets of an artist in a circus?
But it's like that. Yeah, I'm quite alone. I can build many types from tents, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I can. It's quite a responsibility, much responsibility to build a big tent.
Mm-hmm. So you know how to do
But
that.
yeah, I know that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's maybe 2 or 3 people in Sweden that know how to build it.
Mm-hmm. It's good to know. I
Not
have your number now. Yeah.
So I'm not only an artist. I'm and a musician. Have many practical skills, but
Yeah, that's great. And back to the clarinet.
yeah.
Who was it who was teaching you, or you said you were self-taught by listening to your father's bands, or how did with you starting to improvise and playing jazz, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's very strange. I think our father he trained us much in the thinking of music most.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, the law of harmony. I think it's quite old style pedagogic. So he never pressed us to play an instrument or something. It was because when you have heard these lessons about often about classical music and when you're 9 and 10 years, it's fun, but it's also a little boring. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So in
Yeah.
the end, you want to play an instrument. It is about tonarts and tonica dominant and about modulations between tonarts, and he spoke much about that. He was so interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
And we listened. I will say we listened with a half ear for many years. It was maybe the last year before he went passed away. I really had to listen more, really, because now I think it's the last chance.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so much about that. And what was difficult with the jazz was to get through, even if it's simple chords in traditional jazz. It's not so easy to understand how the key to improvisation.
Mm-hmm. But you had the harmonies already done by playing the accordion, so probably you had some
Absolutely.
advantage.
Yeah, very much.
Mm-hmm.
Very much.
I think so.
But what is difficult in clarinet is like so it's like you break up the chords, arpeggio.
Mm-hmm.
And what is it is a timing that you had to, when the chord changes, you must be on the right place in the music with your improvisation.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite modern jazz. I think they they put chords over chords. and they have more what we call practice tarbles, like scales, and so they use like a key over the harmonies.
Hmm.
But they traditional, you are in harmony and use that as a
But when
tool.
right, right. But when you played accordion, you played already jazz chords like C7 to F and F major and all that kind of stuff, or was it triads on the accordion?
Yes, yes, it's like the same. Is my picture is something wrong?
Yeah, it's spastic. It's going crazy. Yeah. What's that?
Linnea, kan du hjälpa mig lite?
Like a green
Jag har
screen.
blivit lite darrig.
Mhm. But I can still hear you. Yeah, it's dancing. The picture is dancing, and now it's getting
Har jag hängt upp?
slower. Now he's again. Mhm.
Hallå?
Vänta. tror jag.
There he is.
Jag måste dra in ett försök. Så.
Där kommer han. Hej!
Hey, Max. Long time no see.
It's small problems all the time.
Yeah, don't worry. I was wondering if you were, when you played accordion, if you already played the jazz chords. So on the accordion, like C7.
Yeah, a little like that, but it was more. It is nearly.
Almost, huh?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Also, jazz is little more advanced.
So it was new on the clarinet for you to play more notes in the chord than on the accordion.
Yes.
Okay.
But what is difficult in jazz in the beginning is good to have a style, a person that you like and a little listen to, like this Johnny Dodds, or you understand?
Yeah.
So
What was the name? What was the name of your father's clarinet player again?
Anders Holmberg.
Anders Holberg.
Holmberg. He was, in my opinion, the best clarinet player in Sweden.
Mhm.
But I live in south part of Sweden, and
Mhm.
it's near to Copenhagen. And Copenhagen was a jazz city, number one. Like
Mhm.
Paris, Copenhagen, London was the three biggest jazz cities. So you have many good clarinet player in Copenhagen.
Yeah, I have this CD, this Edmund Hall CD that I think he recorded there with Papa Boo, Vikings
Papa,
Jazz
yeah.
Band. Yeah, for example, right? You're talking about that, for example. Mhm.
But there are some not so really well-known players that alcoholic problems. So they are, but they are like legends. So
Mhm.
that is it is because of them. It is good. Anders Holmberg had listened to Henrik Johansson, and
Mhm.
I think there was like 3 or 4 really good players in Copenhagen.
And that guy Anders recorded. Is there recordings we can find on Swedish jazz labels or something like that?
I can send.
Yeah, please.
I think.
Never heard the name.
Honestly.
So yeah. Mhm.
He still lives, but he's got a stroke for 10 years ago. So.
Okay, I see. And you paint also? Are your pictures in the background?
No. It is only a friend to the family.
Nice.
I paint more practical things like coulisses and.
Okay. I see. Mm-hmm.
But I build instruments. So I built. Now I'm building a bass clarinet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But that needs a lot of knowledge and skills, no?
But I build without what do you call these slots?
The trill keys.
The keys, yeah. I build with old type of keys, so it's not the same as modern clarinet building.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's interesting, yeah. So,
but if you make a bass clarinet, you need to know how to drill long, straight holes.
Yeah.
That is.
So you acquired that knowledge by yourself,
Yeah, something I learned, something I had to count out.
Yeah, and so back to the clarinet. So you learned basically by listening, absorbing jazz, and then you imitated. You started playing something like it, or exactly the same, or things like that. Yeah.
But our father was of course, like a trainer in the background. This phrase sounds like nothing, and he was like that.
So what was a tough teacher?
Yeah, I don't remember it like that. But if I use the same tactic against pupils here, they would not like it, maybe.
Maybe it was the old school.
But if you are grown up into it, you have nothing to compare with.
Right.
So I found it like okay.
And then later on, you started organizing your own gigs, or was it always family business, or how did you look for work with your music?
Our father was very, very anti-commercial. He was so much in the 60s in big concerts and all this concurrence between musicians and so he was in the 80s quite tired of the business part, you understand?
Okay. Sure.
So he didn't want us to have even a band name.
Mhm.
So in one festival, he let always the arrangers, they call it in Swedish calling family band, or in English calling family band, and
Mhm.
some arrangers call us calling Blue Five, and you understand. And we still have some problems with that, because in the beginning it was some different names circle was in the, so now people call it sometimes Gunhild calling family. But we call it Gunhild calling and with the calling family, you understand?
Mhm.
Because today we must have a band name.
Right, it's hard not to have one. Mhm.
But you know, in that time it was so many festivals, so many agents, you understand?
Mhm. Yeah.
That doesn't exist today.
Mhm.
So we was business, some sort of business at once.
Mhm.
When I think back on it, we came directly into the biggest festivals in Sweden.
Mhm. That is, for example, can you give us some names?
The Stockholm Jazz and Blues Festival. It was only American names,
Mhm.
so I can understand that many musicians that have done a serious work for 40 years, and we came as kids and went direct into the big scene. I can understand that they were little. What is this?
Mhm.
But in the beginning, when we were on TV, direct, you understand.
Mhm.
But then many musicians said, no, these kids, they are like a fake. They are only trained. Because we got to play with the jazz elite at once the first 2 years, but then they closed the doors little after 3 years.
Okay.
But in Stockholm, you know, Stockholm is a main city like New York.
Mm.
So there is much media and the central festivals. Swedish is very, it's a small country, so it's like everything is Stockholm.
Mhm.
But already then, when it was closed there, we had came abroad and we came to Denmark, and we played at 70% on the festivals in Denmark.
Mhm.
And when you came to Denmark, it's another country than Sweden. It's like you can say you can never be an artist if you don't play. As if when you come to Denmark, you will be an artist or a musician,
Mhm.
because the public in Denmark, they are very relaxed, and they can listen what you do, and they can you understand the role to be musicians. You know, I went to school, and people in school, they don't bother about bother about other things.
Mhm. Mhm. You guys toured in a bus, or you went by train, or?
But in that time, it was so easy because we all lived in the same house, and we toured in one bus. Today we tour with at least three.
Okay.
But we have so much circus stuff when we play in Sweden and Denmark.
Mhm.
It is only when we fly to like Luxembourg, and then we have a more smaller requisite bag.
Mhm. So you bring costumes and requisite and everything.
Requisite, yes. We
Mhm.
have, you know, vibraphone
Microphone.
only for one number, but it takes like a half a car.
Yeah. Right.
We have equilibristic table and bicycles. We have a bass and piano, and sometimes also they want you know, the loud, also
What's that?
speakers and
Loudspeakers.
yeah,
PA.
yeah,
Mhm.
PA, yes, and
Mhm.
so it takes, and then the personal stuff and the instruments, and
A pair of socks to change. Mhm.
yeah. So it's it take at least three load cars
Mhm. Well, that's a
and
lot.
one
Yeah.
personal.
It's like the rock and roll edition in jazz. Yeah.
Yeah,
chords.
but people see us loading these so strange things. You understand? Rock and roll bands, they have big PA. We have small PA, but we have 10 bicycles. But back to the music, it's always important. The foundation is always to make the music to sound with a feeling and the right thing.
Right. So what would be your advice how to achieve that? What kind of exercises or what kind of tunes are you playing to keep in shape, to learn new things, to be fresh?
My opinion is that if you play in the older times, it was so much that you should play your style. You understand? But I think you should play a piece of music in that style it's written. And every person is different, so it will be different. And your personal style, it is already there. I never heard one clarinet player that sounded exact like another. So, I mean, if you play a New Orleans tune like Ice Cream, you improvise like more like Josh Lewis and this style, revival. And if you play like a swing tune, you must improvise in that style. But if you play Louis Armstrong tune like Strutting with a Barbecue, you can improvise in the style of that. And so on, quite fluently. And but if you play Chicago style, like Dixieland and Benny Goodman and Frank Teschmaker, you have to put the improvisation more like in this direction.
So you try always to adapt to the style that you're playing your music in.
Yeah.
Just 1 second.
Yes.
Yeah, it's getting dark here.
Yeah.
But you learned you had a teacher at one point, or like I think I asked already the third time, you just learned everything by yourself, like self-taught?
Yeah, but if you can never train or learn so much as you do when you play 3 hours at a gig.
Right.
Because in the beginning I was quite bad in the change between this and so I didn't do it in the right way, but you learn after playing.
So you learn by yourself the fingerings.
Yeah.
And what kind of clarinet do you play? I saw some special things there.
It's not really original. It's a Quest-Non. It's a French clarinet.
Okay.
But so it's quite normal. It's a narrow bore.
Okay.
So I have also played when we have big band. I have bigger bore to play, so it will
be more loud.
Yeah. Louder. But I like it. I think it's more like the old Albert and Böhm clarinets is more narrow bore, so I like that. Because if I use hard reed and a narrow bore, and then you get the old sound.
So you play a hard reed then?
I try always to use number 5.
You play 5, Jesus.
And so I learned from this Anders Holmberg. He also used 4 or 5.
We're talking about Van Doren or something like that.
Yeah, Van Doren. Yes.
Number 5.
Because if you play like Gunhild, my sister, she always had a big tone in the trombone. You understand? So it's always problem to hear the clarinet. The clarinet is not loud enough.
So that explains the 5.
But if you scale up the hardness in the reed, it will be one possibility to get out with the music.
And you said Leblanc or Questlong, or I didn't understand the brand.
Queston. Yeah,
you have to write that to me maybe after we finish here.
Yeah.
I think I didn't hear it.
Queston is not really expensive mark. You understand? It is a good school clarinet.
Okay.
But Queston made brass instruments, and so it is have a high renommee in, I think, Ventivlo, also brass instruments.
Okay.
But clarinets, but this clarinet is from the 50s.
Let's see.
But a clarinet is not better than what is repaired. So if a clarinet is not what you call if it leaks,
Right.
it is not so funny.
Absolutely, yeah. And what about Sweden? Like right now, can you play a gig there, or is it closed?
It's quite good.
It's quite good.
Yeah, we with very short preparation, we got in June like 4 or 5 gigs a week.
In June, you said.
In June and July and August, and now we had 4 or 5 jobs every week, and it came with very short. Because Sweden opened up in June, I think, in the end of June.
Sounds great, yeah. And people can attend the concert like without masks and like full concert halls or clubs or just a few seats or.
We played only outdoor.
Outdoor.
So we didn't. We tried to avoid the problem. So we played outdoor, and it was a full house in every place. Because people this year they did like to go to concerts.
Yeah, they were. They were hungry, probably.
Yeah. I think so. And
so it seems like you for a big part you learned to play on stage at the end, right? After knowing the fingerings and.
Yeah, I must be honest. We trained a lot in the Carling family band back in the 80s.
Okay.
How much it differs in the mind of us all. But we trained every day.
Okay.
So if you train as a band every day, you will be a good player. And I speak to symphonic musicians, they say the same. It is always little how much you can put time in it. But Gunhild, she is I don't know how much she sat and practiced on her own. She also is band trained. And that is good if you are in a music family. You play like it's a normal thing to play together. You understand?
Yeah.
So it's.
Do you have something like a practice routine that you every day you pick up the clarinet, you do the same things, or you just improvise along, or is there something you do regularly?
It's old tale that you must train every day. The sun is on the heaven. You must train the change between the low and high
Mhm.
register, like because this is so unnatural. This
Mhm.
and
So you're doing that.
diminish the chords. Without think.
Mhm. So that's what you're doing.
I try to do every day this little
Mhm.
because you must. It was in this spring. We only played on the internet, so
Mhm.
I didn't train so much. We only played 3 times a week, and that was too less.
Mhm.
So I played really bad in May, but then we became all these gigs again, and
No chance to get worse.
yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So I came back, but I was really tired of my technique and my playing. It was
Mhm.
quite bad. But I don't know how it was in. I'm the 5th-generation clarinet player because
Mhm.
my mother's um, my ancestor. What's called ancestor? No,
Yeah. I'm not good with those things.
yeah. So they were clarinet players of folk music.
Mhm.
So I remember I chose clarinet because of that.
Okay.
So I'm also a violin player.
Mhm.
And for 9 generations, I'm a violin player.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
it is like. So I have but it's what is folk music.
Folk
We have
music.
all these old playbooks with folk tunes.
Mhm.
It's like.
Any plans with the family band to go to St. Petersburg or to Zurich in the near future?
Yeah, we try. We have many ideas now.
I hope so.
Many ideas to make Europe to tour.
Mhm.
With main cities and because it was like what we call it was a success this summer.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah,
That's quite busy. Yeah. Mhm. That's perfect.
and so we tried to get at Christmas
Mhm.
a main city tour.
Mhm.
Maybe we will have some guests. We try to find.
Mhm. But when you mentioned before 4 or 5 times a week you're playing a gig, this is everything in Stockholm? Those gigs?
The whole country,
The whole
most
country?
southern part. Yes,
South part, you said?
yeah, south part.
Mhm. Okay.
Tomorrow we go to Stockholm.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, I hope I will come to Stockholm soon and I will can listen to you in person.
Yeah,
But it sounded great on the TV too here. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah,
I hope I have give something interesting.
yeah, it was interesting, definitely. Yeah, I think it's dinner time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope to connect later with you again, and I thank you for talking to
Yes,
me
here
about.
is my daughter. They
Yeah,
are preparing for
yeah,
dinner now.
they have different talents. I can see that. Yeah.
There is my wife. Is there?
My pleasure. Hello. Yeah. Thanks for let me see into your living room.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was nice.
Nice. But call again. So we if it's something.
Yeah, perfect. I will. See you later, my friend.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye
See you
bye.
later. Bye. Ska vi se vad